think a lot of you know by now that I love bookstores, and I've only really found one here in town. Well, there are two. There's the half-price book thing over here. That's kind of fun to ramble around. But Barnes & Noble's the only one next door to me, so at the first service I got a couple of good leads in Seattle. But there's one bookstore that opened, an independent bookstore opened on the Upper West Side of Manhattan that I absolutely loved. I would go there at least a few times a week. And it's wonderful to see independent bookstores open and thriving, especially today when you have Kindle and Nook and everything else. That people are actually going and buying books. It's really very exciting to see a place that filled with people very excited about reading. We know it. Unity people love reading. We have a bookstore here, right? Yes. Yeah, so I invite you to visit. We have a lot of really wonderful books here. I keep taking them and going, I want to read this, but oh my gosh, I have 3 piles like that at home. Getting to my books, and I just really love them. But there's one bookstore called the Book Culture that just opened a couple of years ago in New York, has the best greeting cards as well. I love greeting cards. I buy them and I just keep them to myself. I don't send them out, I just keep them because they're so wonderful. I think, ooh, I want to frame that and put that up there. I want to share, I bought these 4 before I left and came here, in case I couldn't find a greeting card here in this area. You know how New Yorkers are. It's like, is life outside of New York? This one says, pretty good. If this is God's plan, God is a terrible planner. At the very bottom it says, no offense if you're reading this, God, you did a lot of really good things with other stuff like waterfalls and panda. This one says, when life gives you lemons, I won't tell you a story about my cousin's friend who died of lemons. Now this one is not very Unity, but I really like it. Please let me be the first to punch the next person who tells you everything happens for a reason. We'll carry that here. I think we'll get that one. We punch with love, of course. And this one, I just love this. It says, together we can find a cure for the phrase, whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I really dislike that phrase so much. It's just so, it's almost mean in a way. Because it implies, great job, but if you died from it, what a bummer. Better luck next life. Like, what? Now, I understand the intent behind it, that you've gone through a challenge and you're tougher and you're stronger for the next part of life. I get it. I understand what the phrase means. However, in doing ministry for 25 years now, I've known a lot of people who've gone through extraordinarily rough times. They were incredibly tough and wise and powerful, and they still died. What does that really mean about this? And I know people who didn't die, who came through their challenges, but they were so discouraged, they were so resentful and scarred and scared of life that they didn't get stronger. They got beaten down, and oftentimes they don't return to Unity, to their spiritual families. They even leave the spiritual path at sometimes. Now, you yourself may be going through this yourself. Do you ever think, I just can't go through this anguish anymore? I can't go through one more day of feeling this way. I wish I should just end it. I keep hearing, whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger, but at this point I don't really care because I just can't see the forest for the trees. My prayers, my desires, my affirmations, nothing seems to be working, and as a matter of fact, it's getting worse. In Silent Unity, when we were, I would say probably at least once a week, I would get a call from somebody saying, Silent Unity, call off the prayers, it's getting worse. Stop praying for me. It's hell. So we were instructed to say, we now rescind our prayers, dear one. You are no longer being prayed. Well, thank God, and they would hang up and just get really freaked out about. In Unity we have something called chemicalization, which means it gets worse sometimes before it can get better. It just means that the prayer is kicked in and all of a sudden everything is happening. When you affirm divine abundance and then you look at your bank account and you're $20 under. Or you affirm great and wonderful perfect health. I did that in ministerial school. I said, I am strong, I am whole, I am powerfully healthy and alive, and I got the worst case of the flu the next day. I couldn't get out of bed. Chemicalization, when you affirm something really wonderful. My lesson teacher said at a retreat, says, God, hit me with your best shot. I ran out of the room. Didn't want to be anywhere near this guy when he was getting his chemicalization. So sometimes it seems like when you pray for something, it gets worse rather than get better, but that's just really a temporary thing. So if what doesn't kill me makes me stronger, really means that by this point I should be able to pick up a car. Because if I'm really strong, then this is the ultimate. I must be that strong. And yet it can be a problem when you feel, I'm just out of gas. I don't have the energy. I don't have the energy to pray. I don't have the energy to sit and meditate. I cannot close my eyes. I'm just so drained. Anybody ever feel that way? Apparently I'm the only person who does, because you're going, what are you talking about? I don't understand this at all. We go through that. We just feel spiritually bereft. I don't know what the next step would be because I'm just completely spent. I have nothing more to give. And we're this close to just giving up and saying, where is God in all this? Where is this God I hear about on Sunday morning? The Father, Mother God who is omnipotence, is everything that we need already inside, and I can't really feel it. Mother Teresa was just declared Saint Teresa of Calcutta. And her best friend wrote a book saying that when she became a nun, she didn't feel the presence of God from that point on. She said, I just did not feel God anywhere. I would look at all these people I was trying to get to for healing. She said, I didn't see God. I didn't feel God. There was no God. And she went into prayer and she talked to the bishop. She talked to everybody about this. And she finally got, well, here's the lesson I'm going through. I must be going through this, not feeling God, just to have faith that God is here somewhere. Somehow God is here even though I can't feel it. And she did. She did an amazing work through her whole life. But where is God? You'd think of all people, Mother Teresa would not feel God? Oh my gosh. In the scripture we just heard from Judy, this one little story deals with this issue so powerfully of what to do when you seem lost, when there is no hope, when the answer seems so far away from you. To recap a little bit what we just heard from Judy, Elisha is a prophet in Israel. Now, a prophet in the Hebrew Bible is somebody who has been called by God to remind the people when we turn to God, our problems will be taken care of. If we turn away from God, then we get into trouble. In New Thought, we understand go to God. When we read that in Scripture, we read, go into your heart, go inside of you to where God and I are one. When we turn away from God, it means we're focused on the outside and we're making everything outside of ourselves God. One of the commandments, do not have any other gods before me. Who are these other gods? Fear, doubt, lack, limitation, we could go on and on. But when we focus outside of ourselves, we think there's the power outside of ourselves, right there. One of the main problems, as the prophets and the spiritual leaders found too frequently back then, was when the people of Israel kept turning to other gods for help, that seemed to really tick off their God. Jehovah wasn't having any part of it. He even said, I'm a jealous God. Quit going to other gods. Why are you dating them? I'm your only one. What are you doing? Come back here. So God would get really ticked off by all this. At one point on the road to the promised land, God was so over all the complaining the Israelites were doing, he told them finally, he said, your children will go in, but you will not. Why? Because you mutter. Mutter, 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 complain, 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 complain. Here's a really good spiritual lesson right off the bat. Stop complaining. Stop muttering. Stop moaning. What you're doing, what we're all doing is we're draining ourselves of our abundance. Every time I complain, I leave here on Sunday morning, I have a great time, we sing, we hold hands, we have coffee and donuts that Jim so lovingly cuts with his scissors. We have such a great time here, and then we go and we call people and we complain. Can you believe what happened? Blah, 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 blah. And everything that we just built up on Sunday morning has gone out the window or into the phone. So we got to stop the complaining. Just keep it within. We have a right to share what we're going through, to be authentic with our pain and what we're going through, but not to chronically complain about how awful it is. So one day, Elisha the prophet comes across a poor widow whose debts were so large she was being forced to sell her sons into slavery. We have no idea really how really truly awful the planet was back then. It was so dangerous. You didn't know from one day to another if it was going to be your last day, or when your children were going to be taken from you. You just had no idea how dangerous everything was back then. Well, Elisha says to her, and you can see she's obviously panicked with everything going on. She couldn't see straight. He said, what do you have in your house that's valuable? She said, I don't have anything. I have a little oil. And he said, go borrow as many containers, jars, bottles, bowls, whatever you can find. Get a lot of them from the neighbors. Go inside, shut yourself and your sons in, pour all the oil that you have into these containers. She fills them all, amazed the oil keeps pouring. And she tells her son, bring me more. And he says, there isn't any more. And then the oil stopped. She tells Elisha, okay, it's all done. And he tells her, sell the oil, pay your debts, keep a good portion of it for you and your sons to live off of. Now, a great story. It sounds like a really wonderful magic trick, but what does that have to do with me? What does it have to do with our lives? In our Unity Bible interpretation, men stand for, when you see a male in a Bible, it stands for thoughts, ideas, and wisdom. And when you see a woman, it means feeling, intuition, and love. Now, we have all of those inside of us, but when you're reading the story, that's the metaphor for what the Bible is trying to tell us. So we have both thought, feeling, power, joy, love. All of that is part of who each and every one of us are. But when you're reading a story in the Scripture, you say, well, what is the widow? It's a woman, so we're talking about intuition. But the widow represents that intuitive self that we are, that has been left to do life without any clue, without any ideas as to how to now step forward to do this life. You feel that God is here, but you just can't seem to land a job. What am I doing wrong? What am I not thinking in the right way, perhaps? I can't seem to find a mate in this city. Everybody else seems to be pairing up. Why am I alone? I can't understand, how do I pay the bills without money? I need to get more money. How do I do this? So we have inside of us the knowledge that we should have this, that is due us. And yet, how do I do this? What is the mechanism to doing that? Elisha is that idea of God that says you have more than enough within you right now in using your talents and your abilities to have a successful life. Elisha says, what do you have in your house? What do you got in there? House, in our unity understanding, means our consciousness, our inner knowledge. What do you have as a talent? What do you have to give to the planet? We often think, I don't have anything. I'm not talented. I can't sing like our singers. I can't do anything like them. What can I do? But we all have talents. We all have gifts to share. What do you love to do? What you love to do is a clue as to what your good to give is. So Elisha says, what do you got? She says, well, I have a little oil as almost an afterthought. But oil in the ancient world was so valuable. Not only was it used in making bread and other food, but they used it as fuel to light torches at night. And it was used to clean the body. It had many, many uses. Remember, Jesus was having his feet and his hair washed by the woman who poured the oil on him. Judas, the group treasurer, was appalled because it was like pouring money all over. What are you doing? You're having this woman pour money all over you. In fact, the Olympic winners were given oils in their trophy cups that they won. It was that valuable of a prize. So metaphysically, oil is the abundance of God moving through you and your talents and what you can do on the planet, your gifts, your spiritual inheritance from the universe. We've all come here with something to do. Even those who may seem to be physically limited can pray. Through the centuries, we've had monks and nuns and priests and spiritual shamans through the years who have been holding us in prayer and moving us along in that way. So if you say, I can't do anything, you can at least pray. You can at least be an ear to hear other people. Give the universe your talents, what you can do well, and the universe will then take care of you. That's the way this planet, this universe works. So the widow, taking the oil, filling many, many containers, finally ran out. She sells the oil. The kids and the widow are saved from slavery. Again, great story, but the oil thing sounds a little far-fetched. Well, how do we keep pouring oil out? That just seems ridiculous. What does that really mean? How is this magic trick relevant to me in my life? The Holocaust survivor, Corrie ten Boom, a Dutch Christian who helped Jewish people escape from the Nazis, and she was imprisoned, her whole family was imprisoned for it, tells in her memoirs, The Hiding Place, about having a little vial of liquid vitamins and minerals that she used to help those who were sick. In the camp, they hadn't received their shipment of supplies for many, many weeks, and they were very concerned because they were running out of everything. But her small vial of vitamins miraculously never ran out. She kept using it. Anybody who wanted it, she just freely gave it to her without thought of her needing it or her family needing it. And soon, everybody in the camp was intrigued by this tiny bottle of vitamins that never seemed to run out. But Corrie kept praying. She kept knowing joyfully, like Jesus feeding the 5,000, that there was always enough. Somehow, they were going to get through. One day, many weeks later, a new shipment of supplies finally arrived, and with it were the vitamins and minerals. And on that day, she writes, the vitamins in the vial finally ran out. Coincidence. Divine coincidence, we call it in Unity. But it's true. We live in a spiritual universe governed under spiritual law, and sometimes it looks miraculous, but the truth is, miracles are simply the outpicturing of God's good. I looked at television last night and I went, this is a miracle. How does this work? Now, we know how it works. The people from the cable company came and they turned it on. They showed me how to work it. So somebody knows how it works. But for me, it's like, this is a miracle. I hit this button or I talk to the receiver now and it does what I want it to do. It's just astonishing. But it's a spiritual truth that we look at and think, oh my gosh, that's a miracle. One day in San Francisco, this came to me really clearly. I was running an errand. I was on the other side of town doing a hospital visit, and I was driving back to the church office. And I glanced down to see that the needle was on empty. I mean, really on empty. And it's a frightening feeling when you say, oh, I really needed to get gas last week, and I forgot to go to the gas station. So I'm on the highway. There's no gas stations in sight. I was in a part of town I didn't really know that well. But I had just finished doing my hospital visitation. I was pretty centered in prayer, and I said, there's more than enough fuel to get to where I need to go. Thank you, God. And I'm not kidding. I'm not lying here. I'm a minister. I do not lie. On Sunday morning. In front of you in the pulpit. But I'm telling you the truth. The needle moved up. As soon as I said that prayer, I was like, oh my God. This works. This stuff works. I found a gas station a couple of minutes later. I pulled in, and as I was pulling up to the pump, the needle went, Now, these are examples of how in the physical world, it shouldn't be that way. When we think about what should or shouldn't be, like that, me affirming something and knowing the truth shouldn't make the needle move, and pulling up to the gas pump shouldn't make it go the other way. But again, we live in a spiritual universe governed by spiritual laws, so God truly is at work no matter what. The deeper meaning of the Elisha story is that you have within you right now the means of having that abundance pour forth, regardless of whether it seems like it can or can't. When we affirm the truth that God is here, there's more than enough good, it begins to show up. Trust that your Creator has it all waiting for you. I get in the way. My gods of fear and doubt and lack of limitation get in the way of Spirit doing the work through me. We have to let the good within us flow forth in love and joy and our talents and our faith that God's got this. I myself don't do anything. I don't know how this works. I don't know how TV works. I hit the button. I don't know how God works exactly. I just turn within and I say, okay, God, you got this. I can't wait to see how this is going to work out. And I let Spirit do the work. I've shared with you that in the past, before getting here, I was a year and a half, I had begun a spiritual center in Palm Springs. That didn't really work out that well. I began a study group in New York that was just kind of sort of okay. But the money was not flowing from those channels. They were flowing from God's other channels abundantly, and I was totally shocked and amazed at how that worked. My job was to say thank you and watch it flow forth. And then sometimes it seemed like it wasn't going to be there, and then the next day it was, oh, by the way, oh my gosh, here it is. So the oil is always flowing forth when we do the work we're here to do. When you're giving your love, giving your talent, giving your whatever it is that you are, Spirit, the universe will take care of you. That is a guarantee. It may come at times that we wish was a week earlier, or maybe 5 minutes earlier. But let it go. It shows up in the right and perfect time, in the right and perfect way. You shall be a child again, and let that child wonder and that awe bring forth the good that you are. So I invite you to take a breath. Let go. Breathe in again. Close your eyes. God's got this. We can think of times in our lives when it seems miraculous that by all rights it shouldn't have turned out that way, but there God is. Whatever you're going through today, let it go. I don't know how to do it. You don't know how to do it. Divine love and wisdom within you know how to do it. And is waiting for you to let go of that false god, of fear, of debt, of dis-ease. Of addictions, of depression. There's only one power, one presence, God the good, period. Am I willing to be open? To be willing to be willing. Then we give the universe space to work in. No matter how frightening it might seem, no matter what the challenges are, or the appearances to the contrary, God is at work. Right now we release what has been weighing on us. Leave it outside. You don't need it. You never did. If you had it in your life, we have been using it as a teacher. And we bless it. And now we move forward to all good. In the quiet of our mind, we affirm this truth. The healing love of God pours through my mind, body, and soul. I am whole and well. Let that be your truth today. The healing love of God pours through my mind, body, and soul. I am whole and well. Feel that movement of warmth, of love, and joy take hold in your cells, in your joints, in your breath, in every part of your being. There's only wholeness, only God. We also remember the overflowing divine oil of abundance pours out into my world. I am successful. The overflowing divine oil of abundance pours out into my world. I am successful. Let this be your truth. The light of God shines on our path. We know what to do and how to do it perfectly, at the right and perfect time, in the right and perfect way. God is the light on my path. I know what to do and how to do it in the right and perfect time, in the right and perfect way. Breathe that in. Know it. Feel it. Let it become a part of who and what we are. In the silence of our being, we let go and let God do the work. We know again with our elder brother, I of myself do nothing, it is God within, doing all. Breathe in and let go. Breathe in. Bring your sense of awareness back into this time, this place. And with it, the awareness that you are not alone, that there is nothing impossible, that there truly is one power, one presence, one love, one joy, one peace. God the good. And for this awareness, we are so, so grateful. And so it is.